$1,000 is not a life-changing amount of money on its own, but how you handle your first $1,000 as an investor sets the habits, the mindset, and the foundation for everything that comes after it. The biggest mistake most people make is waiting until they have more money, more knowledge, more certainty. Today we are going to walk through exactly what to do with your first $1,000 step by step in a way that makes sense regardless of your starting point. Before we get into where to put the money, there are two things to check first. The first is debt. If you are carrying high-interest debt, credit card balances at 15, 20, 25% interest, paying that down before investing is what most personal finance educators discuss as the mathematically stronger move. Earning 7 or 8% average returns in the market while paying 20% on credit card debt means you are losing ground overall. Eliminate high-interest debt first. Low-interest debt like a student loan or a mortgage is a different calculation and does not necessarily need to be paid off before you start investing. The second check is your emergency fund. Investing money you might need in 3 months is not really investing. It is speculating with your safety net. Before putting money into investments, make sure you have at least 1 to 3 months of essential expenses accessible in a savings account. If you don't have that yet, building it is the first step. Our emergency fund video covers exactly how to approach this, and we will link it in the description. Assuming you have dealt with high-interest debt and have a basic emergency fund in place, you are ready to put that first $1,000 to work. Here is the framework that comes up most consistently in personal finance education. The first question is whether you have access to an employer-sponsored retirement account, like a 401k. If your employer offers matching contributions, meaning they match a percentage of what you contribute, that match is the highest returning investment available to you. A 50% match on your contribution is an immediate 50% return before the money has been invested in a single thing. If you are not contributing enough to capture the full employer match, starting there is the most widely discussed first move. If you do not have access to a 401k with a match, or once you are capturing that match, the next widely discussed account type is a Roth IRA. We have a full video dedicated to Roth IRAs, and we will link it below. The short version is that a Roth IRA lets your money grow completely tax-free, which over 20 or 30 years makes a significant difference to the final outcome. The contribution limit for 2026 is $7,000, and you can contribute to a Roth IRA at most major brokerage platforms. Now, what do you actually buy inside these accounts? This is where most beginners get stuck. They think investing means picking individual stocks, trying to choose which companies will go up. What comes up most often in personal finance education for beginners is something different: broad market index funds or ETFs. These are investment products that hold hundreds or thousands of companies at once, giving you exposure to the overall market rather than any single company. The widely discussed appeal of index funds is low cost, broad diversification, and no requirement to know which individual stocks will perform well. A commonly discussed starting point for a beginner with $1,000 is a single broad market index fund, something like a total U.S. market fund or an S&P 500 fund, inside a Roth IRA or a taxable brokerage account. This gives you exposure to hundreds of large American companies in a single, low-cost investment. Some beginners choose to add an international index fund alongside this for additional diversification, though even a single broad market fund covers a large amount of the investable world. On platform choice, most major brokerage platforms offer index funds with very low fees and no minimum investment. Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Vanguard are widely discussed for beginners. Look for funds with a low expense ratio, a number expressed as a percentage, typically well under 1% for index funds, as this fee comes directly out of your returns over time. The difference between a 0.03% expense ratio and a 1% expense ratio on money left invested for 30 years is significant. What about timing? One of the most anxiety-inducing parts of investing for beginners is the question of when to start. What if the market drops right after I invest? This is where a concept called dollar cost averaging comes up frequently. Rather than putting a lump sum in all at once, some people choose to invest a fixed amount at regular intervals, for example, $250 per month over 4 months rather than $1,000 all at once. This approach means you're buying at different price points over time, which smooths out the effect of short-term market movements. There is ongoing discussion in personal finance about whether lump sum investing or dollar cost averaging produces better long-term outcomes. Both approaches have merit, and both are vastly better than not investing at all. The most important thing to understand about your first $1,000 in investments is this. It is the beginning of a habit, not the point at which your wealth is made. The investors who build meaningful portfolios over time are not the ones who picked the right stock with their first $1,000. They are the ones who kept adding money consistently, month after month, year after year, through market ups and downs, without panicking and without stopping. Your first $1,000 teaches you something no amount of reading can. What it actually feels like to have money in the market and to watch it move. To wrap up, check debt and emergency fund status first, capture any employer match in your 401k if available, open a Roth IRA if eligible, buy a broad market index fund with a low expense ratio, invest regularly rather than waiting for the perfect moment, and keep going. The habit you build now is worth more than the amount you start with. Subscribe if you want to keep learning. We publish a new personal finance video every week in plain English. And if you want to go deeper on index funds specifically, we have a full video on that linked in the description. See you in the next one.